Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I am here with another video on ReactJs series, and this is on very important topic, which is React Router version 6. Okay, so this is the latest router we have right now available, which is version 6, and definitely it gonna help you on your ReactJs project because currently everybody use ReactJs functional component where you have a lot of hooks available right now. Similarly, this router version also provides so many hooks, so it will help you in your project. Okay, so definitely this particular video will help you. Please do watch till the end. Okay, and I will cover all the concepts here. Also, there will be another video on there will be another video on ReactJs router, so that I will cover different type of hooks, how you can use that in next video. But please watch this video till end and please come to the demo, guys, and here it will be very interesting. So guys, before starting the demo, so let's see how this documentation is. So you can choose this new router, right? So if you go down, you have some kind of options available, like you can have your base project ready. Also you can also install, like, using this command, right? npm install ReactRouter DOM. So we can use this command and install to our server, right? So we can stop the server and we can say npm I ReactRouter DOM. So what it will do, it will add it to your project. Okay, so it will add here, right? Now what you can do is you can start your server. So guys, after your installation, now your first step is to integrate React router with your application. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to come to your main index file. So it can be your main.js or index.js. So where you will be doing this, like root.render, and you will be importing your main component, right? So this place you have to come. So what you have to do here, because you need router throughout your application, so what you have to do, you have to basically wrap browser router around this main component you have used. Okay, so this is very first thing you have to do. The reason behind doing this is router wanted to know what is the status of your application, where are you right now, what is the history, and which component you are exactly rendering on your page. Okay, so if you try to notice here, if you try to inspect element and go to your components, you see here browser router, right? If I just try to increase the size, so this is the main component you have, then everything comes under this, like router, navigation provider. So this is, if you notice here, no, provider and all this comes when you actually use ReactJS context API. So this new router provides similar feature, so basically the context API feature, so that everything is on top level, so wherever you wanted to use something, you can use it. Okay, so we'll come to that on the deep level later. Okay, let's come back to our application now. As we have integrate, so what is our next step? So our next step is just try to integrate or try to understand how it works. Okay, so there is something called routes. Okay, when you have these routes, so it will tell you the number of route you have in it. Okay, so what does that mean, route? So route is something specific to the component and to the path. Okay, so if you have a path, let's say you have a slash path, and you say if somebody hit that slash path, I want this element to render, basically I want this component to render. Okay, so home is one of my component. Okay, so home is one of my components. So let me, I have some kind of error. Okay, yeah, so I have to close this route here. I think that is the only problem I was facing on my console. So generally you will see it will auto import. If do not, you can always import yourself, that's okay. So you can say home from, so it happens sometime it do not import. So what you have to do, you have to just say your page is slash home. Okay, so likewise you can import your home component. So now if you see, right, you have this home page rendered automatically because your path is like that. Okay, your default path is slash. So now if you see, this component is here. Now if you go to components, you can notice we have home component already rendered on your page. So now what happens if you basically wanted to have different routes? Let's say if somebody come on about, what will happen? You need about component to render on that instead of home page. So what you can do, you can import that about from page slash about. Okay, so you have this component imported. Now if you come and notice here, and whenever I change about, okay, what you notice, it replace that home component to the about component. Okay, basically totally replace. So you do not even have that in your DOM. So if you go to these elements, you will notice here we do not have any DOM available which was related to home component. Okay, so now as this thing will be here, now you will not go like in the browser and change your routes and everything, right? You generally see the links available in your website. So there is something called link which will help us to do this job. So this is similar to ahref. So on browser it will anyway create this a link, right? So link, but if you create something like link, sorry, so if you create something like link, okay, this is what you will get from the router itself. Okay, you have to import that here. So let me just import that link. Okay, so this link is available right now. Okay, so you have a link will ask some kind of props, so where 2 is one of them. So 2 is one of them, where you will say, okay, if it is slash, so it will do something. So you can say home. Okay, so you can say link, and similarly you can create for about. Okay, so here you will say if so somebody navigate to this about, so it will redirect to the about us section. Okay, now what you see here, if you try to inspect element this, right, you able to see this is also ahref link, this is also ahref. So ultimately this will also convert to ahref. So I just wanted to show you the demo. So it is nothing, it is similar like that. Only thing is ReactRouter have provided this link, so which has couple of features, right? So where you can just say which path you wanted to go and what is that text. Okay, so now what you see here, let me have some gaps here. Okay, so I can create this. So I have some gaps. So now if I click on about or home, it will change without even reloading your browser. If you notice here, we do not even reload anything here. So similarly, if you come to this ReactRouter website, no, you notice here, if you click on any of these pages, right, so your tab will not reload. Only thing is your URL will change and your component will render. Okay, so here also we are doing similar thing, like if you click on home or about, it keep changing, nothing is reloading here. Okay, that is very basic. Now what can be there, like you generally will not have very direct links, like you will have nested links, and also you will be having some dynamic links like post /1 or 2 3 based on ID. You will be having a lot of you will be doing a lot of things based on your post IDs, right? So let's create one route called post. Okay, so we can say post. So we already created these pages here, posts and post. Okay, so what we can do here, we can define a route path, and we can say posts. If somebody come on this, okay, so what we have to do, element, so we have to just quickly import this posts. Okay, so we have this component available right now. So we see some kind of error. This is when you do not close your route. Okay, so you see some errors on your compiler. Okay, so now if what you see here is you have one more route called post. Okay, so we have post. If you click on this, you have two more post here, right? Post 1 and post 2, right? So what is that? So if you go to this post thing here, like we have this post 1, post 2. So what we are doing here, we are again linking to post 1 and post 2. So basically if you have nested things here, so what does that mean? Like if you have a route, if you says it is like post /ID. So what you notice there in the post page, you have post and / and ID. So some dynamic ID is there. Based on that you will render your post, right? In general you will do that, right? So what you will render here, post component. So whenever you have something like this, you will have a post component. Okay, so let me import that post component. Now I imported that here. So what I'm saying, if somebody comes to this posts slash id, okay, what you notice here is you will have this. Okay, okay, so we are doing one mistake here. So if you notice, we have this post imported from posts. Basically this path was wrong. So now if you come to this page which is post, right, about post, so if you click on one of the post one, so basically you have post one. If you come back and click on post two, you have this post two, right? And also you are getting these IDs based on the hook we have, right, use parameter. Okay, we'll come to that in next video. But yeah, so what you see here, we have routes, right, main route and the sub routes, right? So there is a feature in the React router which will help us to remove these common routes, right? So what we can do here is, so instead of doing that, so you can close this route and keep this inside here. Okay, so now you can remove this part. You can just say colon id, right? And what you have to say, you have to define one more route. Okay, you have to say route index. Okay, and you have to just close your route, and this element you have to pass here so that it knows. Okay, if somebody hit on post, the index route is post, and then the sub routes is ids with ids. Okay, if you go back now, you click on your post, right, and you click on your post 1 or post 2, you still able to do that, because now it does the same thing. Only thing is it help us to remove this multiple use of post slash id. Or now one more thing I'll tell you. So if you have different route here, let's say you have this slash new post, okay, or something like that. So what happens here, let me create one more component, new post. So I wanted to just show you this example so that this might help you in some of your work, right? So new post, and I can say this is new post. Okay, so we have this particular component here, and I can quickly import that. Okay, so new post. Okay, so I have this new post available here right now. So what happens, you notice here one thing, if you are on, okay, what is going on here, new post is nested. Okay, yeah, so now what is going on here right now? So if you notice here, you have post and you have post 1 and everything. Now if you notice something here, like if you go on post 1, right, so you notice here 1, and after your post you will also have new post. So basically two different type of router. So React router will automatically detect if you are passing id or you are passing normal hard coded static route. Okay, it will auto detect, so no need to worry about that. Like inside this nested route, right, you can still use your ids, dynamic ids, also the hard coded urls. Okay, both will work fine. Okay, so you no need to worry about that, right? So you can do any of these things, right? So I think you are clear pretty much till here, right? And also, like, I would like to tell you this id which we are passing, right, whenever you click on post, you click on post 1 or you click on post 2, you able to notice we have this id which you are passing in url. So how are we fetching that? So we are fetching that using this hook provided by this React router, which is use params. Use param will get the all the params we are passing, dynamic params we are passing to the url, right? It will automatically get that, and it will help you to use that in your component. So basically sometime you might need to use to get your data, right? So you might use effect. Okay, so you can have that. So based on this param id change, right, so what you wanted to do, so you wanted to fetch the data from server, right? So you can always do that. So based on this id change, you might be fetching your, so you can do some dummy like json placeholder, right? So now you have this get post. So I'll just go to that guide. Yeah, so you have this post, right? So always you can get this post based on dynamic value. So what you can do here is, so instead of passing this one manually, what you can do, you can basically use this param id. Okay, so 1 2 or whatever it is, and based on that you will get your data. So now if I save, right, and go back to my application, so you will notice one thing here. If I come to this post 1, you will get this id, post id 1 and body everything. If you come back and click on post 2, you will get the id 2. Notice here id 1 id 2. So we are getting the dynamic data, and this data anyway you can use in your JSX, right? That I already told you. You have to set to your state and then basically use in your JSX, right? So this is the basic use when we actually have the dynamic IDs coming in your URL, right? So you can anyway use it down there in your components, okay, using this use param hook. Okay, so I think now you guys are clear how we can use nested route and everything. So now there is one thing, like you might have seen, like we have a wrapper around previously we used to create the HOC component, right? So which will take care of your header and footer and everything. So let's create something like that. So let's create a layout. So it can be post layout dot JSX, and I'll just say RSC. So you have your post layout where you have header, okay, you have your logo, okay, and something like that. So now what I'm saying is, so now all of your child routes, right, you wanted to wrap inside your main layout, okay. So what you can do here is you can define the element, okay, and what you have to do, you have to say you have to import that particular layout here, so which is post layout, okay. So you notice here we only have this logo coming in right now, so we do not have our post 1 and post 2, right, which we used to get before. So now what is happening here, so it is getting this post layout, but still not it's not getting this index layout and all of this what you say, the child routes, it is not picking up. So there is a way to do that. So ReactRouter provided something like outlet, okay. So this outlet will help us to do that. So basically if you wanted to wrap everything under this layout, right, so you have to do this. So all your child component will come here directly, okay. So and this header will come in top. So now if you just define a div here and class name, okay, you say layout, okay. So down there also I'll say div, okay. Now if you go back and notice here, so everything is wrapped around this layout, okay. Now you have this logo and your child components, right? So that's what it does. So inside your outlet all your child component will render. So now if you click on this layout, right, what you see here, you still have this logo available, and this particular div will change where you actually rendering your child components, right? So that's what it will help you, like you basically can have a common header and common footer, right? So you can still have a footer here, so you can remove this div and you can have your footer, okay, and you can say footer. So what happens, all your child component will render inside the outlet and your header and footer will always be there, right? You have your footer, you have your header, so you can also say this as header to simplify that. So you have your header, you have your footer, and you have in between you have all of your data, right? That's what we can do, okay. So I think this is pretty much clear, right, how we can use our layout around your child components, right? So one good thing about outlet is you can always pass some data through your child component. So how you can do that, so there is something called context, okay. If you pass something inside context, like for an example, category, or you can say books, or anything you can pass, or you can pass whole object, okay, anything you can pass. So now this data which you have passed through, what you can do, you can use inside your child component. If you go to your post, basically, so there is some hook called const use context data, okay, I'll just say that. And there is a hook called use outlet context, okay, and this is provided by your router, right? So now this use data, use context data, you can directly print here, or you can use in your APIs or anything that sort. So you can say this dot that category which you have actually passed through, right? So you can just say that, okay. If you do that and you come back here and you click on post, you click on post 1, you're able to see that books coming in here, right? So you can pass through that, and you can also see your components, right? So you have post layout, you have your post. So post is receiving this books automatically, right, using this context provider. So I said you right, this React Router 6 is more on your context API. So you can notice here we have context provider automatically attached to your child components, so where you have this value available, right, category books, and that's how it is fetching and showing in here. Okay, so I think pretty much it on nested routing and how we can get the data through and pass through this data. Okay, this will really help you. Okay, so in this video just wanted to cover all of these navigation between the components and different pages, right? Also wanted to tell you how we can add the layout to parent component to the child component, all of that, and how we can pass the data through between child component, right? So that's how we can do. Okay, and in next video I will cover hooks available inside the React router, which will help you to do couple of more things, right? So I'll come to that. Also I'll come to the history in my next video. Okay, so stay tuned guys, please do watch next video, and please do watch this video and like and share. Okay, and please do subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for being here with me on this series. Thank you guys, bye bye.